Okay, so now I'm just trying to drain the system here. This might take a while, but I don't have a shutoff nearby for this. So I'm going to drain this, and then I'm going to come back and try to, I think I can get a wrench on here, an end wrench maybe, try to get this off. Okay, so my meter on my old camera seems to have started working a little bit again. So now I've drained, these taps are all open now, all of them. And so I've drained the water all out. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this stem off here, which is pretty loose already. Just happens that I can easily get a combination wrench in there and it was loose. Okay, so what I want to check is this in here. If there's there should be some packing in here. I don't see any in there. I'm going to have to get my flashlight and look in there. Okay, no, that's probably hard to see there, but there's just like I've scraped a white powder out there, and I think what they've used in this maybe is that old Palmer's type putty, and it's just gotten old and smashed down really tight in there. So I'm going to see if I can get it all out of there, and then there's a new type, a graphite type, that works better, I think, and replace it. So I'm going to just be digging this out for a while. Okay, so it looks like this is going to be a pain digging this stuff out of here, so I think what I might do, I went and got a bunch of sockets, and I'm going to, I tried different ones, and then this one here seems to fit pretty good, this old SK socket. So I think I'm going to put that on there, and then get a pipe wrench and see if I can turn this out of here maybe. See how tight it is. That socket seems like it fits pretty good, and it's already been used before. There's already marks on the edge of it where somewhere it had a pipe wrench on it before. It was in my old socket box. So I'm going to go find a pipe wrench, and I'll come back and try that. Okay, so I found a pipe wrench that fits on here, and like most things you start to do, you run into problems. This has one of those handles for so you don't slip in the shower, so I had to run this between there, and then I still have my towel down there in case this drops. Don't want to have a big wrench like this fall and put a ding in that fiberglass. And then I'm going to turn this out here, I think. Okay, it's turning. It sounds like it still might be turning against that foam. Okay, so I got this loose now, I think. Still rubbing on that foam. The foam is around it, it's actually loose in here. There, okay. So I have to cut that foam. That foam is just too tight around the edge of this that it didn't it came in behind this lip here. So I'll have to cut that out of there before I put this back. And so now I can replace the thing on here, but mainly I can get to this easier because I got to get this whole packing out of here and put new packing in this end. This is just plumber's putty, I think. It looks like old plumber's putty. So I want to replace it. They have a new type that's a graphite in a little string almost, kind of, and you can just string it in there and pack it in. Okay, anyway, go ahead and do that. Looks like this washer does have a split in it, maybe too hard to tell. So it's good that I took it out anyway. Okay, let me turn this off and go get what I need. Okay, so I've gotten the old packing now out of here, pieces of it. So this is ready for packing, and then I've taken the stem and have run it across. This is an old dish sponge with this abrasive stuff on the bottom, and when that's dry, that's a good thing for cleaning parts like this. It doesn't scratch them, but it does get the surface nice and clean. And so I've taken everything off that, and now I went to the hardware store and went to Ace Hardware and bought some. This is the packing that I'll put back in there. This is the newer type. That's a Teflon type rope. And I'll put that in there and pack it back tight. And then I got some new washers for the end. The old washer was really hard. It's a good thing I changed it. It's super hard. So I got a new washer, and they're making it out of some new type of fiber material. Yes, it's pink. And so I'll put that all back together. And then I got the foam back further here, so now I'm going to go inside here and look with the flashlight at this seat that's in here. And what I'll do is clean it out if it needs it. I use a long, stiff artist brush where the bristles are stiff but tiny. And then I'll reach in there and just clean that off, make sure it's nice and clean. And then when I put it back together, I'm going to put some silicone grease just right on these threads right here, just a dab on here to get this to work a little bit, where it doesn't make that brass on brass noise when it turns. And then what else? So this, just a wrap of Teflon tape. I'll probably put a wrap of Teflon tape around just maybe the threads of the screw that go in here in the end to hold this. You don't need to tighten this very tight, that little screw. And I'll put a wrap also just right here on the threads here, just a tiny wrap and a tiny wrap there. A lot of people don't even do that. It's not really necessary, probably. And other than that, I just got to put it back together then. So I'll put it back together. I'll probably clean this stuff off here too. Get that off there while it's there. And I'll be back. Okay, so now I've got the new washer on here, and I put a little bit of silicone grease on these threads and just around the bottom of this little brass seat that's on the bottom of here. And then I wrapped some silicone or Teflon tape around here. And now I'm going to put some Teflon packing in here. And they always say use like 3 windings counterclockwise. I'm not sure if there's any logic to 3 windings or not. But I like the number 3 anyway. Just don't want to overfill this thing, so there's only so many threads on here, and you want to have this thing so you can smash that all down in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And then I checked the seat that's in here. The seat inside this looks pretty good still. And put a washer on here. There's a rubber O-ring right here. And then I'll also put a little bit of silicone grease on that. And then I'll try and put it all back together. So if you recall, when I removed this piece last, and I had already taken the stem off first, and by removing this last, it allowed me to use this short socket to get in there. So I have to reinstall it the same way. I have to put this in, tighten it down, and then tighten the other piece on top of that. And this is turned all the way out. The stem is all the way out. Okay, now I can, with that in place, I can take my socket then and slide it back over this. And then I'll use my pipe wrench like I did before and tighten it back down here. And I'm going to do that with both hands. And then after I do that, I'll take this socket back out and take this socket back out, and then I'll put this in and then use my crescent wrench to tighten this on to there. Okay, so I'm going to try that. Okay, now I'm going to turn the water back on and see if there's any leaks here. Everything feels pretty tight and works pretty smooth. But before we put this cap, that goes back around here, to this flashing piece to hide the hole. Before we thread that back on there, I want to check and see if there's any leaking in here, or if it solved the leaking problem here on the end. And as brittle as this washer was, these might not be too long before these start leaking, but as long as they're okay, I'll just leave them. Okay, so I'm going to turn the water back on now. Okay, so the water is going again, and so far there's no water leaking out of here. So I'll let it run just a minute or so and see, just to make sure. Other than that, I think it's probably okay for me to go ahead and put this back on and put the knob back on there. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave this one just about there. Bye.